Hi, this is Bob Samuels, founder of TechConnectr. TechConnectr is a marketplace and campaign management platform of best-of-breed, account-based marketing lead generation solutions. We've partnered with the Serious Decisions Summit to bring you wisdom from leading account-based marketing thought leaders. To that end, I'm happy to introduce you to Liz Dubelman. Liz is founder and CEO of Vidlit Productions, a world-renowned book marketing and content creation company. She's also executive editor for an excellent organization called Women in Technology International, or WITI. I caught up with Liz at the WITI event in Santa Clara. Liz, it's a pleasure to speak with you. How are you today?
I'm great, because I'm at WITI and Women in Technology International, and not only are they one of my clients, but I'm a member of the organization, and I have been for many, many years, and it's just a great organization that supports other women, particularly in underserviced areas.
It's a beautiful cause. I'm a father of two wonderful daughters, and I'm on the women's team, so I'm rooting for you. So it's nice to be here. It's nice organization. To be tied to the organization like that, and it's a pleasure to speak with you. So, what exactly are you doing for the organization? What's your role?
So I'm a partner in Column Marketing Agency, which is we do a lot of content marketing for the most part, which is great for WITI because WITI has tons of content, and my background is in marketing, but it's slightly different marketing. I started out many years ago, probably more than 10 years ago, marketing books for large publishers. And the book business has changed so much. They brought a lot of that in-house. And a lot of it still isn't. A lot of it is individual authors. It'd be easier if they brought all of it in-house, but a lot of it is individual authors, and they need to really market their own books. That's part of the problem. So that's what I do. And so as part of that, we do a lot of creating either new content or taking excerpts from various things that exist. We use it to build up in the case of WITI, to get people to register for the events. In the case of marketing books, we use it to build up an author's sort of social media profile and their proof of reputation, their reputation. Because when you go into a publisher, they do a quick back-of-the-envelope calculation, and they see how many people do you have following you, how will that be amplified, who will buy those books, and what sort of books are comparable to your books. And so what are the models? The models are the books if you're writing a mystery book. What's the biggest mystery book that you can think of that's like your book, that has a female protagonist or whatever? We do comparables based on that. With WITI, it's the same thing. What organizations are like WITI that we can model ourselves after in order to whatever our particular goal is? And it has to be a single goal. We try all the time to do multiple goals because everybody has multiple goals. They'll have 5 goals. It's very hard to do that because it's hard to measure it, and it's hard to be successful in any one place. So it's either driving traffic to the summit, as we are now, driving people to the website, driving people to the email list, driving people to take the survey, but you can't do all of them at once. People get confused and they know the difference. They're very, very smart, very savvy customers these days. And even if they don't know it consciously, what's going on, they perceive confusion.
Interesting. So in this case, the goal is driving attendees for the event.
Yes, that was our goal.
And it's different people, I imagine. So there's all different personas or different types of people. What types of people were you targeting, and did you have different sorts of messaging for different personas or different roles or different company sizes or different types of people you're reaching?
Yes, we had we did a few interesting things. We had different people that we wanted to drive to the summit. So let's say there were a group of women inside a larger corporation, but the women in their executives and their C-suite, where there weren't that many of them, we would go out and target them and tell them they could hold the retreat here. They could get a group of women together who would be empowered. They would have all the lectures, and they could meet in a smaller room in a suite, and they could talk about their issues. We also have people on the manager level, or newer people than that, newer to the workforce. And we created a letter, all the reasons my boss should send me to this conference, why it would be beneficial to the company, which is really what your boss wants to know. Why am I sending you here? What are you going to bring back with you? And we also had a bunch of different emails with various discounts that went out to different partners or people who were sponsoring us. So that was a whole different sort of vertical, and those were retargeted emails. So we could see, we would write a letter for an HR person. So for example, someone would buy a package, a company would buy a package, and they wanted to offer this discount to all their people. We would word the email that the HR person would then take and distribute to their people.
Nice. So you would craft the messaging, and they would deliver it with their own letterhead, or not.
Or not. But we gave them a lot of suggestions, and that was the best we could do. I thought that worked pretty well. I think that this is I could be wrong about this, but I think this is the largest attended conference. And I know that it's better than every year before because you learn and you get better.
Beautiful. That's wonderful. Congratulations. So are you able to determine which method or which messaging work best for which types of audiences?
That's a really good question, and I would only be going off of feeling at this point, because we need to go back. Really, so we're in the middle of the conference now. Tomorrow is my panel, so we have a lot to go through, and then we need to go back. And the most important thing you could do is the sort of, and I hate this term, the post-mortem about how you did it, because it sounds terrible. It's really the start of something, not the end of something, because this starts our year at WITI. So the conference is the year ender. And so we're starting our new year. Everything's fresh, and let's look at what we're going to do to drive revenue and then to drive people to the summit.
Yeah, it's a planning meeting.
Yeah.
I like it. So what's your panel discussion on? What type of people are going to be on your panel?
My panel discussion is on marketing, and we have the best panel. I promise it's the best panel we have. We have a person who is a guy. We have one man on our panel who's the head of data for Ticketmaster. We have a woman who is from LVMH, the luxury brand. She's the chief digital officer. She's got 80 brands. Some are baby brands and some are mature brands. We have Liz Kelly. She owns her own PR agency, and so she's going to talk about the difference between marketing and PR. And Bonita is a professor in gender studies, and she's going to talk about the gender bias in marketing. Because even though there are all these algorithms out there that claim to know you, so let's say you want to put an ad out on Facebook, and you claim you say you want women technologists. How does it know? It knows where women are, and it might know where technologists are, but how does it know where all the women technologists hang out? We have an interesting and lively discussion. We did a big Zoom call, and it was so funny and interesting. It was a lot about wording. It was a lot about the difference between, for example, the difference between socialism and social responsibility, which may in fact mean the same thing, but socialism is a triggering word, so you want to sort of stay away from that. And because it's such a broad topic, marketing is a very, very broad topic, and we have two different audience members here, those who are interested in marketing their business and their company, and those people who are interested in marketing themselves personally. So they want to change careers, or they want to just summarize their career, or figure out what their next step is. And so we've crafted the panel to talk about both things. Overall, what marketing is personally, what is marketing for your corporation, your company, and what are the new tools and things? Because the new tools are really interesting because they allow somebody with a very, very small budget to go out and market themselves. We never had that before, and in some ways that's great, in some ways that's terrible. I don't know, but it is what it is. So,
yeah. So, are there any cool tools that you've found that you can share?
You know, my favorite tool these days, and I don't know if this is good to do a shout out to them, but I really like Sprout Social because it allows me to schedule, allows our whole team to schedule all sorts of social content, but also to measure it and to know exactly how it's doing. And that's the most important thing. That's the tools that we have now, is we can actually put a quantitative amount to anything that you're doing. Even if it's, even if you say a customer is worth $1.71, a customer's worth $1.71. Let's see how many customers we have and how that's going to work out.
Beautiful. I love it. I love being able to measure and like you said, improve every time.
This is interesting. You'll probably cut this out, but this is interesting. So I have a little side hustle that I do, and it's called Digital Daughter. And I help older people with their technology. I go into their houses and help other people with and so this is an older woman who's in her 80s who's clearly having a problem with her technology. But I can't help her right now. I'm so far away. She doesn't know that.
That's pretty funny. So, what about ABM? So, what is ABM to you, and how are you? Is that a big topic for this event, or in your real life as a marketing consultant? Is that something you pay much attention to?
No, I don't. I know you would rather me say yes, but we just haven't. I don't know why we haven't.
Well,
I mean,
well, the idea is to try to give as much relevance as possible to people, and for instance, to make your messaging really customized as much as possible for one-on-one marketing for the most important people you have, and then for less important people, maybe make it a little. Still relevant, but it can't be as perfect because you don't have enough time to research everybody's interests and so forth. So you can try to. But the idea is to try to target who you want to go after. Try to give them what you can as far as giving things relevant for them, and try to connect and try to engage them.
I hope we do that. I really do. I hope we do that. But really, I come out of the world of writing and publishing and movies and things like that. So that's how I got involved in content marketing, because I could create content.
Yeah, and I did too. I started off in newspapers,
okay.
And but you can everybody got the same content. And now with the digital world, you can know more about people, and you can give them very specific. Everybody's article could look very different based on their personas and based on their interests and based on what they're about. So lots of opportunities. It can get interesting. It can get confusing too. But
so you were a journalist. You were a journalist?
No, and I didn't deliver the papers either. I was actually in accounting, but that's a different matter.
Okay.
But it's an interesting. I mean, I really, I'm a numbers person, and so I love being able to measure results and being able to give targeting as much as possible. So with newspapers, you don't know if someone read the ad or not, or what the impact was. But with digital marketing, you know what people did, and you know how they reacted, and you can change the color, and you can see the difference, and there's lots of chances to measure and affect.
I wonder if today you do know in newspapers who's reading. I mean, most people don't get print newspapers. I imagine that's a very small. So you probably know what articles they're going to, and they're very vocal. I mean, you could probably, if they're sharing it on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, you probably know that sort of share count and things like that.
Yeah, you can. You can have different calls to action, and you can see what people did when they read it. The world's better. I don't know, but it's more measurable and more impactful.
It feels like you have more control, and that's that's a more secure feeling.
Yeah. And then you need to be careful about privacy and not being too. Don't want to spook people too much or.
Well, we were talking last night to Senator Hannah Jackson about this. She's very concerned about privacy and whether you can legislate privacy or not. My feeling was that you couldn't legislate it, but her feeling, and she had a very good point, was HIPAA laws. The idea that you can legislate it as we do in the medical business, but Google knows more about her health than her doctor does, because her doctor only knows what she chooses to share, whereas Google knows a lot. And we talked a little bit about facial recognition and about how there was an article that in San Francisco, I think it was, that there was the facial recognition is so good that it knew when a woman was pregnant before she did. We talked about all the different ways that you can use facial recognition for good and bad, and why she felt that we needed to legislate that.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, the better we are, you know, we need to have some sorts of rules, whether it's internal regulations or not. But using the data for good and not for evil.
I know, it's difficult, but I think I personally, I could be wrong, think most people are good. So hopefully most people use it for good.
I think so. So what is your you know, you've seen some changes over the past several years, both from a technology standpoint and from privacy and legislation issues and so forth. So where do you think things are going? What is this world going to look like in 1 year or in 5 years?
I think it'll be highly personalized, which is a good thing. My fear is that we'll all live in little bubbles and we'll only talk to people that make us feel good. And I don't think that's a good way to grow. In fact, I had this idea to save this, but breaking news. I have this idea to save the country. And it doesn't cost a single dime, and it makes no one famous, which is why I couldn't get it done. The idea is that, and maybe you did this when you were a kid, is that everybody in the country, like a WPA program, everybody in the country gets a pen pal that's not them. It's lined up by their birthday so that you don't have like a 50-year-old guy talking to a third grader. But every single person in the country can do this, and you have to talk to them for 1 year. You email with them for 1 year. You can't put any of it on social media. You can't publicize it, and you talk about things going on in your day. You don't initially, you wait your 6 months or something before you talk about politics or religion. And I think then you would get to know someone who's not you. And that's my biggest fear, is that all this technology, which I really love technology, but I just don't want us to be isolated and only talk to the people that agree with us.
That's a wonderful observation. It's a great suggestion. Beautiful.
So I got two good suggestions.
There you go. This is great.
Bring a man to WITI, and yeah.
I like that. All right. So I think it's great. Any other words of wisdom, or you're on a roll? So.
That's it. I have no more words of wisdom. I think we should go in and watch the Hall of Fame panel.
Beautiful. I look forward. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Have a nice one.
You too.
Bye.